Hi, this is Melissa Helmbrecht. I'm with SNJ today and here with Jay Red, who is an attorney with Gibbons Law Firm and an all-around great guy who just walked 7 miles today for 7.5 miles today to raise awareness about mental health, and we'll let him talk about that too. But what we're going to talk about today is the CARES Act. We're in this unprecedented time, and small businesses, family-owned businesses across the state of New Jersey and the country are facing something that is catastrophic, right? They've been closed down or businesses is changed dramatically. Restaurants only doing curbside pickup if they're open at all. And a lot of the businesses that we love the most, our favorite restaurants and coffee shops and the dry cleaner that has given us service for, a decade, all these folks are really hurting right now. They're really, really struggling. Jay helped us, our organization, Hope Loft, worked with Jay and attorneys in his firm to purchase a bakery, which is a beloved bakery in Bridgeton, New Jersey, called Century Bakery. And we closed for a few weeks. Right now, we're just doing order online. We're doing very limited production. And Jay helped us, both our charity and our small business, apply for relief through the CARES Act. And we received it, and it was seamless. And we're deeply appreciative, Jay, that you helped us through the process. So Jay and I were talking about this very complicated CARES Act that many companies in New Jersey, Southern New Jersey, can and should take advantage of, but don't have Jay on their side to kind of help them navigate the process. So we thought we would take questions, which we've been doing over the past week from our readers, and that Jay was kind enough to take some time today to answer those questions. So without further ado, Jay, why don't you take a moment to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Jay Red. I'm originally from New Jersey, and now I split my time between Washington, D.C. and New Jersey. I'm a lawyer with the law firm of Gibbons, P.C., based in Newark. We have an office in Trenton, an office in Philly, and some other ones as well. But I'm based out of the Trenton office and the Washington, D.C. office. Prior to coming to Gibbons, I worked for Senate President Steve Sweeney, Majority Leader Loretta Weinberg, for the New Jersey State Senate. And just tying back into what Melissa said before, I'm a strong advocate for individuals with mental illness and their families. And so today, I'm part of the board for NAMI Mercer and did a virtual walkathon through the city of Washington to raise awareness and also raise much needed funds for the agency. And we were fortunate to raise over $6,000 for NAMI Mercer. So that was great. I'm a little bit sore, but I'm here, put on a suit and ready to answer some questions from your readers and your viewers.
Great. So you've already done a tremendous amount of good today. I'm sure that NAMI its mission is more important now than ever before, as people are struggling with social isolation and all the stress that comes from just unprecedented circumstances. So thanks for doing that, and thanks for being here. The first question is just if you could just give us an overview of the CARES Act and let us know if the program has run out of money. Is it too late to apply?
Okay, so the CARES Act is huge. So it's probably over 800 pages in that one bill, and it's phase 3 of what Congress is doing to kind of mitigate kind of the problems that we're seeing with COVID-19. I think a lot of you probably saw in the news that Congress came back about a week ago and passed in phase 3 2.0 because the program had run out of money. And so as of right now, there is money available under the CARES Act for the two programs that I think that folks are most interested in, and that is the Paycheck Protection Program, and then the other one is the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. So the first one I'll talk about is the Paycheck Protection Program. And what that is it's for businesses, it's for 501c3s, veterans organizations, and then here's something new, it actually is also for independent contractors. And so what you can do is you can apply through your bank, and you can get access to 2.5 times your payroll costs. And they use kind of a benchmark from last year. So when kind of times were good, it looks back and says, okay, what were your payroll expenses when times were good? And then we'll give you a loan for that amount of money. And you can use those dollars for payroll costs, but you can also use those dollars for rent, utilities, if you own your building, mortgage interest. So it's a very versatile loan, which if you use it for the correct expenses during 8 weeks, can actually be forgiven 100%. So that's why it was really, really popular. That's why it ran out of money so quickly. In this last round of funding, we saw that a lot of the smaller businesses didn't get access to it. And I think there was a lot of press because a lot of large entities did, whereas kind of the mom and pops, the shore towns, the local businesses weren't able to take advantage of the program. And so when they rolled out this new version, these additional dollars, they provided funding specifically for the smaller banks so that more smaller businesses could actually get access to it. The other program that's out there is called the Economic Injury Disaster Loan. And some of your folks might actually already know about that because that was the mechanism that was used during Hurricane Sandy, where a lot of businesses were able to take advantage of it and receive funding for their costs and things because they substantiated significant economic impact because of Hurricane Sandy. This program, for those of folks that are familiar with it, it actually is a much easier process to apply now. And it also comes with a up to $10,000 immediate grant for kind of if you have an immediate need. But because of the grant and because of the favorability of the terms, that program became oversubscribed and ran out of money. And as of right now, they have not reopened the portal. The SBA is currently processing those applications, for the EIDL, and they hope to open this week, but I think they don't want to open it up and then have more applicants than they have funding. So they want to make sure that they take advantage, they take care of the folks that have already applied. And then once they do that, then they'll open up the portal and allow other individuals to apply for that loan.
Jay, if you are a business owner in New Jersey and you're a small business owner and maybe a family-owned business, and you hear about the Paycheck Protection Program on CNN, on the news, but it's overwhelming, right? Just what's the first thing that you do? What would you say to a person who just kind of feels overwhelmed in general? And what's the very first step? Like, walk me through what a business owner should do when they get up tomorrow morning, Monday morning, and they want to figure out whether they can get this loan.
So I would even say, if you have some folks that are looking at this now and they say, hey, maybe I do qualify for the Paycheck Protection Program, I would encourage them to send an email to the banker that they use at their local bank. Now, whichever bank they have a relationship with, send an email to their personal banker and say, hey, I've heard about this program. I've heard a lot about it. I'd like to apply. The difference between the Economic Injury Disaster Loan and the Paycheck Protection Program is that the Paycheck Protection Program is administered directly through the bank the local banks. So you would want to reach out to them, figure out, hey, does this work for me? And then how do I get my application? And I say send that email this evening or whenever you see this, because time is of the essence. We've already seen the funding run out for this program once, And I think we anticipate that that's going to happen soon as well. So we're telling folks to, as soon as they think that they may have an interest in it, that they should apply for it as soon, or at least reach out to their personal banker and figure wherever they do their business with and figure out, whether it works for them and what they need to do. On the economic injury disaster loan, that's administered through the SBA. So if you think you have an interest in that and you want to apply for that loan, then you would reach out, you would kind of check the SBA, and you would keep following the SBA, their website for when they reopen the portal. And then last but not least, if you feel like you're completely lost and you feel like you don't know, where to turn, when Melissa puts this page up here, you can put my email address at Gibbons.
Okay.
You can send me an email, and I'll be happy to kind of point you in the right direction and connect you. I have a lot of clients that I've worked with, both large and small, on this issue, but happy to kind of just steer you in the right direction. Don't worry about me charging the bill on this one. If you reach out and kind of just say, where's that website or where's this, we can figure it out and we can connect you with them so you can move forward.
That's awesome. So they should right away reach out to their banker and get the process started, right? I mean,
correct.
And I'm imagining that if the money runs out, if this continues to persist, this situation for many more weeks, that Congress will maybe re-up again. And so people just need to get into the pipeline as soon as possible.
That's exactly right. That's what we told folks back when the Paycheck Protection Program and the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program ran out of funding the first time. We said, keep going through with your banks, make sure that you get all the paperwork there, make sure that you find out if there's anything that's missing from your application or if they need any additional information, make sure you get that to them. So once they turn the application process on and they're ready to take additional applications, your bank has your application and it's ready to go. Or on the economic injury disaster loan, make sure that you have everything that you need. And it's a fairly simple application, but just make sure that you're ready to go so that as soon as they're ready to take them, that you're ready to file.
Okay, that's great. One of the questions that we were asked is, what can a person do if their bank isn't participating in the program?
So we've had that initially when they first rolled out the program, where I saw that was fairly common. I think most banks, especially in the area, you're seeing a lot of them that are signing on because as part of the CARES Act, it made it so banks who don't traditionally give SBA loans were then given kind of way to fast track them into providing those loans. But then again, let's say you reach out and your bank is just not, says we're not doing it for whatever reason. I've been able to connect some South Jersey businesses and other businesses throughout the state with other banks that I know are currently taking applications. So if that's an issue that you have, then I can follow up with you individually and give you a few names and then kind of point you in that direction so you can try working with them.
That's great.
I just want to say though, it is better for you to work with your existing bank because this is a loan. And so as all, when you work on a loan, you want to go with the bank you have an existing relationship because there's that trust factor there. They know your business, they know your revenue and things like that. But if that's not working, we can try to find another lender that may work with you.
Okay, that sounds great. One of our readers asked if their credit score would be considered in the loan application process.
Now, but a lot of folks ask that question because usually with the SBA, that's a component that really goes into it. So that's a really good question. For the Paycheck Protection Program, it does not. They look at what your average monthly salary was during the previous year, during that period, and then determine what 2.5 times that is for the loan amount. For the economic injury disaster loan, the banks may use your credit as one of the factors when making when granting the loan.
Okay. Another question is, what happens? So the CARES Act, the PPP program, Paycheck Protection Program, it covers an 8-week time frame, which I'm assuming is what the federal government projected would be the time that businesses would remain shuttered. What what do you think will happen? I mean, just like putting on your genie hat, what do you think will happen if businesses stay closed, 12 weeks, 3 months, 4 months? Do you think that the loan will get extended?
So the loan, I think the 8 weeks that the person asking the question is referring to is when you receive a loan or the Paycheck Protection Program, if you spend those dollars on the acceptable costs, payroll costs, 75% has to be spent at least on payroll, and then the remaining amount can be spent on rent, utilities, and other things. But during that 8 week period, if you don't spend those dollars during the 8 week period, then it can't be forgiven. That amount spent outside of the 8 week period cannot be forgiven. So we do have a few businesses that are like, well, we'll have money remaining at the end for whatever reason because of staff shifts or things like that. Those dollars can't be forgiven. When Congress enacted this bill, they really wanted to keep people employed. And I think that they used that 8 week window because they're thinking if we can get through those 8 weeks and we can get to June, then hopefully by that time we're going to be through this. And so I think that that was kind of the thought process. And that's why there was the encouragement to use those dollars in that period and then get 100% loan forgiveness if spent on those costs. I think that there's a realization now that this could be stretching on for a longer period.
Sure.
And I anticipate that we're going to see other things for small businesses, in phase 4 and potentially a phase 5. I think, especially
What do
a
you
lot of.
see on the horizon, Jay, in terms of, what are they talking about in Washington about next steps?
So the only thing concrete that I've been hearing, and regarding next steps is definitely looking to provide support to the states, because I think what you're seeing now, and if you look and see what Governor Murphy's going through here in New Jersey, or Governor Wolf is going through in Pennsylvania, and throughout the nation, states are not. People aren't working, so they're not able to pay their property taxes, and property taxes are kind of what fuel kind of the state expenditures. So.
Sure.
They're looking for relief from the federal government so they can continue to provide the necessary services for police, for fire, for teachers, for things like that. So I think the next phase is definitely going to have some sort of component that addresses the financial predicament that is facing the states. Other than that, it's kind of up in the air. I think if you read things here and you kind of talk to folks, you can see everything from student loan forgiveness. I think it's probably safe to say that there's going to be funding for hospitals that are in there because they're on the front line. And I think that they haven't had the non-emergent surgeries that kind of provide the buffer that allow them to continue to operate. So I think we're going to see some sort of support like that. And then other folks talk about trying to identify things for the first responders, the folks that kind of out there on the front lines, to kind of thank them for what they've been doing. So you really see the full spectrum. Another thing too is, and I know that you're an attorney as well, Melissa, is you hear some folks talk about kind of relaxing some of the liability issues
Sure.
come about, in response to COVID, and using that kind of as a incentive to get some of the other funding or things like that. So
Sure.
It's unfortunate that the parties, I think, haven't formally sat down yet. I think that they're in initial talks, but the hope is that we're going to start to see framework moving forward. I know that Senator Booker, and I say this because I know that Bridgeton has a few opportunity zones. On a call on Friday, Senator Booker mentioned that he was looking at potentially some including language in there that would reward businesses that continue to operate in opportunity zones, some sort of tax incentive, something kind of they're operating in these depressed areas and they're employing the people that live in that community. So that's something, that's something to look out for, and we'll just continue to monitor it.
Okay, that sounds great. And we'll come back and talk about that again in a couple of weeks. Last question is that someone sent in. People are struggling with accessing unemployment benefits. I know this wasn't the topic we were going to talk about, but have you heard anything about, New Jersey's process and and any attempts to fix what's going on? I know it's quite a logjam right now for people to get benefits.
So, I've heard it, and I've heard, the folks saying that they've been waiting for, months without relief, or without seeing kind of their unemployment checks. And what I can say about that is I know kind of other systems compared to New Jersey, and I know New Jersey actually has one of the best, departments of labor in terms of what they put in, but I think that they're just overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I think the sheer volume of filings has really pushed it to a point where it's hard for them to kind of, the system will go down, and they have to figure out a way to get it up. And they're not using the latest version of Windows or the latest Mac OS. They're using, programming software that's from, the 80s, the 70s. So they're using really, really old software, and it's really kind of showing its age, and it's malfunctioning in that point. I would say though, if you have someone who's watching this and they've been waiting for a month or a month and a half and they still have no relief, I know that the legislative offices, I used to be a member of a legislative office for, Senator Sweeney and work there. I know that their constituent work is focusing on this and making the connections and trying to help facilitate some of the unemployment applications that are stuck. I've talked to several legislative staffers in multiple offices throughout the state, and I know that they're working hard for some of these older applications to try to find out why they're kind of held up and what's moving them along. So I would encourage them to reach out and do that.
That's great.
I also want to mention something. I forgot something, when we were talking initially about the Paycheck Protection Program, and you may have some sophisticated viewers who are familiar with it and they were applying. And I wanted to just point out that there's actually a change in this new version of this new language that came out that is very good for seasonal businesses. It expands the window that you can kind of look to determine what your average payroll costs are. And I know I was talking with someone who has a business down in Wildwood, and I think that this could turn into significantly more dollars for her and her business. And she's looking at, kind of talking with her bank to amend her application to take advantage of it. I learned about that from Congressman Van Drew on Friday afternoon. So it's language that was kind of in there. That I know that he worked hard with other folks to kind of put that in. And I think a lot of folks, it's kind of fallen under the radar and folks don't know that it's there. So we know that because of the area, you've got a lot of folks out there that are in seasonal businesses.
So many seasonal businesses, all the custard stands.
Yep, it's custard stands, the folks at the beach, I think, you look at the footprint for SNJ today, and I think it has so many folks that are part of the tourism, and then also on the seasonal side, the agriculture. So there are folks there that might want to take a second look and see, if this might be even more generous program for them and to help keep some of their employees going.
Yeah, a lot of work to do in terms of keeping businesses going right now. But again, we're here with Jay Red. We're so appreciative of how you jumped in to help us. Century Bakery is alive and well, largely because of your efforts. And he also helped CASA, Court-Appointed Special Advocates of Cumberland, Gloucester, and Salem counties, access the Paycheck Protection Program, an organization that provides advocacy to hundreds of kids who are in the foster care system, a system that is also seeing a spike right now because when families are hurting, there's an increase in child abuse and neglect. So, these loans that will, with your help, turn into grants, they're not just keeping businesses alive, they're keeping the businesses that we love alive, businesses that are a part of the fabric of our lives. Everybody's gotten a dozen donuts from Century or ordered their cakes for their milestones in their lives. And, CASA plays a vital role in the lives of hundreds of children who would have no voice but for the organization's work in the community. So lawyers are heroes too, can be heroes. And we appreciate all that you've done for taking the time today. And we'll do this again. We'll do this again every couple of weeks. we'll do everything we can to keep our community moving forward in this really difficult time. So have a great week.
Thank you. You
And
too.
we'll talk again really soon.
Okay.
Thanks.